evening, I'm going to cover three different subjects. And the three subjects I'm going to cover are troubleshooting Windows 10, privacy for Windows 10, and tune up your Windows 10 PC. I want to share. And there we go. You should be seeing my first screen, which is troubleshooting Windows 10.
Looks
This
good.
is yes. This is no. Okay.
Yes.
And because I'm covering three different subjects, I'm going to take about 15 minutes with each one. And so I'm not going to go into great depth. I'm going to introduce some things that you may or may not know about, and copies of my presentation will be sent to whoever. I can send them to Ken, or I can send them to Francis, doesn't matter to me. And then you can use them as a reminder. Oh yeah, I need to go in and check this. I need to go in and do that. But in-depth presentation, I have an hour presentation on all three of these subjects. And so I shorten them down to 15 or 20 minutes if I'm going to do a trifecta. Let me remind everybody, the APCUG Virtual Technology Conference, the next one is going to be on November 6th. And if you haven't attended one, it's quite a thing. So you might want to think about attending on a Saturday from your home, using your iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, or your PC. Because of copyright, I'm very careful now about putting together stuff that says we're going to share something that would be copyrighted. So I'm going to be careful about that. I'm careful about what I put in my presentations, and what you see is what I get off of my own Windows 10 version 21H1. I got Windows 10 Pro, by the way. Troubleshooting. Well, gee, I'm talking to some guys that probably know a little bit more about troubleshooting than I do, but the point here in this first slide is that you don't need to be a geek in order to troubleshoot Windows 10. There's a lot of help out there that's embedded into the operating system. And before you run down to the local repair shop and spend a wheelbarrow full of money, you might be able to fix it yourself. So that's what I'm going to highlight, is how you can get into troubleshooting with embedded troubleshooting procedures on Windows 10. And oh yeah, it is a part of the operating system. Microsoft does some troubleshooting themselves on your system. And of course, the troubleshooting that's embedded or Microsoft does can't fix everything. But it certainly is a great place to get started and see what you can do yourself. There are troubleshooting procedures located in the control panel, and there's also troubleshooting procedures located in settings, update, and security troubleshoot. And we'll go through both of those. Now, Microsoft will automatically fix any critical problems. The problem is when they say we'll fix any critical problems, and you say to Microsoft, what do you consider a critical problem? They get the standard answer. Something that doesn't allow you to run the operating system. That's a critical problem. And sometimes when they are troubleshooting, if they have to make a fix or change a setting, they're going to have a pop-up that you're going to answer to. And the pop-up will say, we need to make this change. Is that all right with you? But critical troubleshooting figures into making adjustments for hardware, keeping the critical services on your operating system running, and making specific other changes. Here's another hard thing to pin down unless you actually start it. What does Microsoft charge you if you get into calling them up or chatting with them, etc.? And I've got some estimates here, but I can honestly say to you that it's hard to pin Microsoft down and say, okay, if I'm going to call you on the phone or you're going to call me on the phone, and they'll allow it both ways, you know, how much are you going to charge me? Or is it already paid for or whatever? So when you get to the point where you have to deal with Microsoft on one-on-one, make sure you understand what the cost is going to be before you get too involved. Troubleshoot. If I go into settings and I go up into update and security and I go down to the troubleshoot, I can, in fact, do some troubleshooting on the operating system. So it's settings, update, and security, and then troubleshoot. And the down chevron there in the middle of the page for running troubleshooting automatically and then notify me gives you these different choices. And on my PC, I got run troubleshooting automatically, then notify me. And you can see in the red here, it says share full diagnostic data to get additional troubleshooting. And I've turned full diagnostic data to Microsoft off. And I'll explain why in a few minutes. But if you want some more information, then you can come down here and click on additional troubleshooters. And this is the kind of thing that pops up on your screen over on the left-hand side, additional troubleshooters. So you have some different categories. And I picked on printer just to show you an example. If you click on one of these get up and running or find and fix other problem categories, you're normally going to get something that you can click on, like run the troubleshooter. So I clicked on printer and up pops run the troubleshooter. All right. If you have bought a license for Windows 10, you can get assistance from the answer desk for free. If you are a member of Microsoft Office 365, which I am, then you get a free assistance from the answer desk until the end of your subscription. Now, I'm not showing you all of the find and fix other problems on this slide, but the next slide will show you what the rest of them look like. And again, that additional troubleshooters, and we have some other categories, recording, shared folders, speech, etc. Now, you want to pin that down just a little bit more and go all the way down to the bottom where it says get help and click on that. And when you click on get help, one of these windows is going to pop up for you. They're both get help windows. And, you know, since I have a pro, I'm not too sure what you get unless you have a pro, but you're going to get some additional information. And one of the things you will see is contact support. And if you click on contact support, you're going to get this kind of window to pop up. Now they want you to say, where do you have? And the list you see below is what you get when you click on the down chevron in the middle of the page. Is your problem with Windows, Microsoft 365 and Office, Xbox, et cetera, et cetera. And then when you click on that, you make a selection, then they're going to further go down and say, all right, fine. Provide your phone number and we'll call you, or you can call us. And you agree to our service agreement terms. And of course, when you go into the service agreement terms, you get a long, drawn out, yada, 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 technical stuff, lawyer technical stuff. And they don't list any prices per se. Again, searching through the internet, a 1 hour, one-time support session, $99. Extended protection and accidental coverage for your laptop, along with unlimited software support, $129. So it's not unreasonable what they're charging to get you help. And yes, I have gone into Windows 10 troubleshooting, just like the slides I showed you, and I got some help. And it worked well. I was very pleased. But there's another solution. There's another approach, I should say. There's another approach. And Microsoft is moving a lot of stuff that used to be in the control panel into the settings. But right now, as we sit, the control panel has some troubleshooting categories, that specifics that you may want to jump on. So of course you go down into the search bar there and you type in control panel, and then you click on control panel. And when that happens, this kind of display comes up, and as you can see, it's control panel, all control panel items. And you go over and you need to click on troubleshooting. And when you click on troubleshooting, this display is going to come up. Now, do you want to troubleshoot programs, hardware and sound, network and internet, or system and security? But wait a second. I said we can have some specifics. So if you go up and click on View All, you get this kind of display. And there are some very specific things here. Find and fix problems with connecting to the internet or to websites, et cetera, et cetera. This is a complete list. For an example, I went down and I chose system maintenance. Find and clean up unused files and shortcuts and perform maintenance tasks. So I click on that one, which it highlighted in blue. And what happened when I clicked on that one and it highlighted in blue, this thing came up right on the screen, right as an overlay to the screen I was just on. Troubleshoot and help prevent computer problems. Find and clean unused files, shortcuts, perform maintenance tasks. And there's an advanced button there. You can click on that and play games with that thing, or you can just click on next. And when you click on next, you're going to go on into the troubleshooting. So hopefully you have picked up a couple ideas about troubleshooting your Windows 10 PC. And so now I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to go to my second PowerPoint, which would be.
I have a question before you go there. Do you have to be online to do all of these troubleshooting steps?
Yes. Once you get past this is what I want to troubleshoot, Ken, you got to be online. All right. So, next. Share screen. And I want to do privacy. Share. And I'm done at the end of privacy. I just went through these before I came on tonight because I wanted to make sure everything was tip-top shape. And now we're on privacy settings in Windows 10. Oh, by the way, I don't use Microsoft Edge. Why? Because I never used it. I like Mozilla Firefox. And I say to people, use the browser that you like. As far as the search engine is concerned, I use DuckDuckGo. And that's the way my Windows 10 Pro is set up. All right. Privacy settings. If you do not make some changes to the privacy settings on your PC, you are giving a lot of information to Microsoft and to other apps that you have on your PC. Unless you turn them off, Microsoft is going to have a lot of information coming into their data banks about you. And yes, they give you the ability to go in and manage some of that stuff nowadays, but to me, it would be a lot easier just to turn off. And of course, we're talking about click on the start button, go to settings, and then go to privacy. A lot of information at the privacymicrosoft.com website that I'm showing there, or the bit.ly for it if you don't like to type in long website addresses, URLs. This is what Microsoft is looking for. And if you don't turn them off, they're going to get it all. I do not use Cortana. I do not use Siri. And Microsoft, of course, says when we do collect data, we use it to benefit you and make your experience better. Enhanced experiences. I don't know what enhanced experiences means, but they seem to put the big words together to make you feel better about all of the data they collect. So, again, we go into settings. We click on privacy, and we get on to general. Let's start at general. And of course, the first thing up there is let apps use advertising IDs to make it more ads, more interesting to you, yada, yada, yada. Nope, I turned that off. It won't block ads, but future advertisements won't be personalized. Okay? Let Windows track app launches to improve start and search results. Nope, but turn that off. And on down the line. Let websites provide locally relevant content. Nope, I turned that off. And what I'm saying to you is Microsoft has all of these on. Now, I just went to general. You need to go down to speech. and see what's happening there. You need to go down to ink and typing and see what's happening there. You need to go down to diagnostic feedback, and that's where I'm going to go next. Diagnostic feedback. And this is where they let you get in and get rid of some of it that they've collected. Okay. But again, in the center of the page, when you have this down chevron, if you click on that, you can see automatically always send information to them once a week, once a day, never. And of course, on my PC, I have selected never. Now, I do that with a little bit of understanding. If I'm starting to have problems with my PC and I can't figure it out, then I'm going to go in here and change this. Because if I end up having to call Microsoft or have them call me, and I end up talking to somebody, they're going to want to look at data that has been collected to help them figure out what the problem is. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've had to do that. And so I leave it at never. Diagnostic and feedback. The next example I want to show you is activity history. So we go down and we click on activity history. Store my activity history on this device. No, I took the check mark out of there. Send my activity history to Microsoft. No, I took the check mark out of there too. And then below that, you have app permissions.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
I'm not talking to you, okay? So, yeah, that was my watch going off. I'm sorry. So when you get into app permissions, you get quite a few different permissions for apps, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of what I'm talking about, and you need to go through each one of those. Now, if you want to clear history, I blocked out my email address there that's with Microsoft, and I blocked out my email address there. All right. That's why you see the blue boxes, but you can go down here and you can click on clear and you can clear history right then and there. Manage my Microsoft account. This is something else you need to look into. Managing my Microsoft account for your privacy. And when you click on Manage My Microsoft Account Activity Data that you see there, you're going to come up with this page, the internet. And you can get in here and you can go through these different sections to clear browsing history and search history and location activity and voice activity, etc., etc., etc. And I highly recommend that you do that. Now, I'm 79 years old and I still have a deal in my own head that says I need to protect my privacy. I've got grandkids that are in their 30s, and I got kids that are in their 50s, and they don't care about their privacy. They could care less. But that's the difference between old folks and younger folks. So anyway, in order to get to this page, if you click on, let's go back a page. If you click on Manage My Microsoft Account Activity Data and you're not signed into Microsoft, then they're going to have you sign in. And once you sign in, then you're going to end up with this page here. And you can go through that whole thing about my activity, download your data, Cortana's notebook, add settings, go through it all, whatever you want to do. Set permissions for different apps that are on your machine. So you're going to choose what the apps can access. And you're going to turn off when you don't want them to access that. So, yep, you got to go to settings, privacy, app permission category. And we were there just a minute ago. Let's go back there. And the first app permission I wanted to pick on was location. Now, allow access to location on this device. I usually don't have a problem with that, but you can change the location. And you notice here it says, and the red underline is mine, some settings are managed by the administrator. I sign into my PC 99% of the time as a standard user, not an administrator. Just another level of protection for my PC and me. So, yep, some settings are managed by the administrator, and I have to give the administrator password to make them. Allow apps to access your location. Yes, I have it on my PC. And since it's on, if you, and I don't show it here, oh yes, I do, I'm sorry, I show it here. Since it's on, you can see which apps want my location. Camera, that's okay with me. Mail and calendar, yep. Maps, yep. Weather, yep. Skype, no, I don't use Skype anymore. Desktop app, web viewer, no. 3D viewer, no. And then you can see some more of the app permissions you have down there. Camera, microphone, voice activation, notifications, account info, contacts, calendar, etc. I'm going to go through one or two more examples of app permissions. Account information. The big box in the center of the page says apps that want access to your account information, and this is the kind of information they get. Record of your sign-in, info about the service you signed in to, your sign-in name, your IP address, which gives away your location, your operating system, your browser version. And I say no. Email and accounts, nope. Microsoft content, yes. Microsoft Edge, yes. Speed test, no. So those are the 4 apps that are on my machine that want account information. And that's the way I have it set up on my PC. Now, be aware of the fact that if you go to use an app and it needs something that you have turned off, you're going to get a pop-up. And the pop-up's going to say, you need to turn this back on, otherwise I can't do the job you want me to do. Or words to that effect. Let's show another category. Contacts. I'm very careful about the contacts that I have, because I figure if somebody allows me to put them into my personal contacts list, they are saying to me, hey, Jerry, don't spread this information out to the world. And so as you can see on my PC anyway, mail and calendar is the only thing I have turned on for contacts. Now, I failed to mention in the previous 2 examples that up here, usually at the top, there is an on-off switch. And if you turn this to off, then all of these become off. If you turn it to on, then you can be selective about which ones are on or which ones are off. Email. Mail and calendar, yes. People, no. And again, there's the on-off. Allow apps to access your email. Examples. Pictures. All right. These are different examples of the 23 different categories that you have here. And I use Snip and Sketch extensively when I'm putting together presentations, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, Snip and Sketch can have access to my pictures, but nobody else that's listed there. And that is an introduction to privacy. If you went through all of the different categories that I mentioned here and include getting on the internet and checking out your Microsoft account, you're going to spend a couple hours to get through the whole thing. Now, beware of the fact when Microsoft comes out with a new operating system update, they may set all of that stuff in privacy right back to what they want. So when you download Windows 11, as an example, you might want to go in and check the privacy again to make sure it hasn't significantly changed from the last time that you set it up. Make sense? This is yes. This is no. Dennis, you're good at that. Fantastic. Okay.
So here's a question there. I'm mostly a Linux user, but occasionally I help people with Windows machines. And apparently on new machines, you must have a Microsoft account to be able to use the computer. Is that true?
Yes.
It's true for the later versions, the last 3 versions of Windows 10. There's no hack around it that I can be able to find. So I use an account and then I remove it. And that's the only thing I could think of. For Windows 11, they came out about June with a hack, and that lets you do it, called Alt F4. Then Microsoft turned it off. And now for Windows 11, there's one called Shift F10. And I don't know when Microsoft will turn that off, if they will. But right, for the last 3 versions of Windows 10, there absolutely is no way around it that anyone's discovered. So yeah, they're getting meaner and meaner. It's almost to your advantage to create a temporary, use once in a while Microsoft account just for installing and modifying Windows 10 and 11, but don't use it for anything else, because you automatically get a free email address with it and a bunch of other good things, which you probably don't want.
But you could use that one account on several computers, I believe.
Oh,
You can use as many as you like. You can also eventually delete the darn thing and create another account, so that they don't have too much tracking on that account. So there's a lot of things you can do. At the new version of Windows 11, which I've been playing with for 3 months now, has always had a hack. But sometimes when Microsoft closes off the hack, you've got to wait a few days for a hacker can find out the new hack that works. So you have to play cat and mouse with Microsoft in order to have a hack that works with Windows 11.
Okay, thank you.
I applaud guys like Francis, and I know a few others, who are going into and playing with Windows 11. I'm not. Okay, Windows 10 is going to be good until the 14th of October, 2025. That's what Microsoft says. And I'm not the guy that as soon as something new comes out, I grab my pup tent, my sleeping bag, and get in and camp outside of Best Buy. I don't do that. In fact, before I jump onto something that's new, I get on the internet and say, what are people saying about it? So 11 is going to come out on the 5th of October, so they say, and probably near the end of October into November sometime, I may decide to go to it, depending on what kind of things I see on the internet about people who have gone to Windows 11. But thank you, Francis, for your comments. I appreciate that. All right, moving right along. I'm going to share screen again, and I'm going to go up to tune up your Windows PC. And then I'm going to hit share, and then I'm going to hit presentation mode, and Yeah, take note of my email address, jminich@apcug.org. If you want to email me and have a question, a comment, or whatever, please use that email address so it won't get lost. Let's talk about tuning up your PC. What I highly recommend you do before you do any kind of tune up on your PC is to go into the File Explorer and click on PC and then find out what your setup is so far. As you can see here, I got 379 gigabytes free out of a 461 gigabyte hard drive, and my hard drive is a SSD. It's not a spinning widget. Now, when I jot that number down, then I clean up my PC. I want to go back and look at that number and see if I made any improvements. That's why I say start here, get a number, write it down, and go check it. One place to start, a lot of people pass over, is performance monitor. We don't want to use the monitor. We want to use the adjust appearance and performance of Windows out of the control panel. But if you type in the word performance monitor is going to pop up, and you want to use performance adjust appearance. And when you do that, what you get is what you see on the left-hand side of the screen. And obviously let Windows choose what's best for my computer. I don't think so. Jere Minich says, no, Jere Minich will choose what's best for his computer, not Windows, not Microsoft. And look at all the check marks in there. So this is enhanced performance. And this is, enhancing your experience. And it also can slow down your PC. So then, of course, I move down to adjust for best performance. And then you can put check marks where you want. And the 3 items you see down there that I have circled, those are the ones I put a check mark in. And that gives me, as far as I'm concerned, the best performance that I have on visual effects. Manage storage sense. I'm glad Microsoft came out with this. The settings you see here are the settings I have on my PC. You go to settings, you go to system, you go down to storage, and you turn storage sense on. And then once you turn it on, you got to configure it. So let's go through the configuration first. I will come back to temporary files and apps and features. But right now, I want to turn on storage sense, and then I want to configure it. As you can see, I got it on. And now, when will storage sense run and what will it do? It'll clean up my PC. All right. And I can do it by making some different settings. Every week, every day, every month, never. Sorry, I didn't show what the down chevron would bring up. Temporary files, I want to delete temporary files every 14 days. Delete files in my recycle bin every 14 days. Delete files in my download folder if they haven't been opened for more than 14 days. And, down at the bottom of the page, I can clean now. And sometimes you get a little message down here that says, if you clean now, you're going to clean up 2.3 gigabytes or something like that. Okay. Maybe even only megabytes. So you can always clean now. If I go down to temporary files, let's go back 2 slides. And now I click on this one here, temporary files, and I get this display. And again, you got to put in some check marks. They're not there unless you've gone in there before. You know, remove files, downloads, DirectX, recycle bin, and you know, if I did all those, I would save 30.4 megabytes. Okay. That was temporary files. Now let's go down to apps and features. When you click on apps and features, you're going to have a list come up, and you can sort any way you want to. Normally, they sort by name, alphabetically. I want to sort by size. So I click the down chevron on sort by and choose size. And what you see there is what I get. And what it says is this PDF program I have on my PC takes up 1.42 gigabytes. And then I can go down through this list and I can see when they were installed. And I can also say, you know, there's some of this stuff I'm not using. I don't need. So I picked on the one down here, free books for Kindle e-reader. And I clicked on that and you get this kind of pop-up. And the words here, move, uninstall, they may be different depending on what you click on over here. Okay. Because it could be uninstall, modify, or move. So free books for Kindle e-reader gave me move or uninstall. And again, go down through this list and see if there's some things that you can get rid of. Disk cleanup. For years, I used CCleaner. And then CCleaner had some problems, and I decided that they weren't keeping house too good. So I went away from CCleaner and I went back to Microsoft's disk cleanup program. And I'm going to go through this. Why do I use Microsoft's disk cleanup program? Is because they made it. So it's very safe. And it won't get you in trouble. It won't take stuff off that you shouldn't take off. It won't cause you to have heartburn. All right. So you type in disk down there at the search bar and disk cleanup comes up and you click on that and you get this kind of display. And this has a whole bunch of different categories in it. And what it's saying is if I run this disk cleanup right now, I would save 846 megabytes. But again, all these different categories may not have a check mark in front of them. So you need to go down through the list and put a check mark in front of each one of them. And if you don't know what they are, you click on it, just like down. I clicked on downloaded program files and it tells you down here what downloaded program files are all about. And then, of course, you can click here and view the files. Anyway, put a check mark in here, say, okay, run it. Okay, and that's the disk cleanup for temporary files. Now, again, this is a short version of the presentation. You want to go back into the same routine again, but this time, instead of doing disk cleanup for temporary files, you want to clean up system files. So you click on this little box here, and then you click on OK, and a same kind of display is going to come up, but a whole bunch of different categories here. All right, types of files. And when you've just made an operating system update to your system, okay, you can have gigabytes of data that's no longer required. So check that out. And the last time I did an update, I think I cleaned out 4.95 gigabytes with system files. All right. Windows Update. If you want to have your system operating as best it can, then you need to periodically go in and check for Windows Update. And the other thing is, this is important down here, view a update history. Now I have automatic updates set on my PC, and then they came out this other day about, oh, you need to make this change to your PC or you're going to be in big trouble. Microsoft has sent out an emergency update, and I got the number, and then I opened up settings, update and security, Windows Update. Then I went down here and clicked on view update history. And sure enough, it was there. And I said, sure, I'm glad I did that. Apps and features. Settings, apps, apps and features. And here again, you can go in and you can search for something specific if you want to. You can sort by name or size or date installed. And here I left it sort by name. And so, of course, the first thing that comes up is 3D Viewer. And I have a choice. I can uninstall it. I can't move it. That's grayed out. Okay. Microsoft will allow you to go in and clean up your PC by taking out stuff you don't need. Here's the problem. Microsoft will take the program out. Data files and registry files may still be in on your PC because you use this option, Microsoft's. What do I highly recommend? Revo Uninstaller. And they have a paid version and they have a free. And I use the Revo Uninstaller free. And you get to their web page by putting into your search engine, Revo Uninstaller free. Make sure you throw the word free in there. And the reason I like it is because it's a 4-step process. Okay. First thing you do is set a restore point. So if you take something off your PC you shouldn't have taken off, you can go back and recover. Then they run the uninstall program that's associated with the software you're removing. And sometimes you get into a little hassle right here because when they start to do that, that software to uninstall the program might kick you out to the internet and to that website where this internet came from. And of course, they're going to say, please, please don't uninstall us. We're the most wonderful program you've ever had on your PC, and you need to leave us right there where we're at. Yeah, right. Kick out of them kicking you into the internet, kick right back out and go right back into Revo Uninstaller and finish the last 2 steps. Search for leftover registry items, search for leftover files, folders on the hard drive. Now, some people will go, oh man, I've never done this before. And they see that there's about 7 or 8 or maybe even 9 programs they want to take off. Apps, whatever. Don't do all of them at once. Take off 3 programs, then restart your PC. Why? Because if you restart it and you have problems, you got 3 programs to pick from. If you remove 9 programs and then you restart it and it doesn't restart, You get 9 programs to pick from. All right, makes sense. Startup folder. I want to clean up my PC. I want to go into my startup folder and I want to stop programs from running in the background, using up my RAM, and slowing down my PC performance. There's a couple ways to do that. Both of them tied up in the operating system. You can go to settings, you can go to apps, and you go down to startup. And as you can see, there's a long list of programs that are in my startup folder. Now, turning them off does not get rid of the program. It just keeps it from running in the background and starting up when you start up your PC. If you don't know what a program is, DuckDuckGo it. Again, my search engine, DuckDuckGo. I don't use Google anymore. Haven't for a couple of years. So, yep, I put in CyberLink Media Player Startup into my search engine, and it came back and it said, hey, man, you really don't need this thing in startup. Now, if I wanted to do CyberLink Media Player, when I clicked on it to start it, it would start up and run. If it was in my startup folder and I clicked on it, it would start up and run in nanoseconds instead of milliseconds. Well, I'm not into the nanosecond world this week. All right. Another way to do it, of course, is go to your task manager. How do you get to the task manager? You go down to your task bar, wherever it is, on the bottom, on the side, on the top, whatever. You find a blank spot in your task bar, you right click it, and you choose task manager, and you left click that, and then you click over to the startup tab. And here's all the programs. This is not a complete list, by the way. This is truncated of the startup programs that were on my PC. And of course, you can see I allow some of them to be enabled and I disabled some of them. And oh, by the way, that column in there about the impact, startup impact, I don't believe it. You know, I don't pay attention. It's medium, not measured. I don't pay attention to it at all. I'm looking at a program like, do I need iCloud running in the background? No, when I want to go to iCloud, I'll click on the iCloud icon, my taskbar, and I'll go to iCloud, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some of these programs that are in your startup folder, when you click on them, you cannot disable them. They stay enabled. Okay? So not all programs can be disabled in your startup folder. Cleaning up your PC. What does this whole thing do? Well, from complete off until fully running on my PC is somewhere around 19 seconds. If you start up your PC and it takes longer than that, you've got stuff in your startup folder that's taking time to start up. So, in summary, wow. Just like Apple, Windows is a background. And some things you need to look at is disk cleanup, getting rid of programs, apps you don't need, archiving and deleting files that you don't need, and moving some stuff to an external hard drive. Extra, read all about it. I got some extra things here I'd like to mention very quickly. Yes, if you go to apcug2.org or apcug.org, you go to that website, you're going to find Jere's Tech Tips and Apple Tech Tips. I do those. Dennis, John Kennedy does a good job of Linux, Penguin platform. And Judy Talor does a good job on Chromebooks. So those kind of tech tips are available at the APCUG website, and they're updated frequently. All right. If you would like to plan a presentation in the future, going to APCUG website and do that through the Speakers Bureau. Inkjet printers. Inkjet printers are nice, but of course, they are expensive to keep running. The biggest help you can do with an inkjet printer is leave it on. Joyce and I came up here to Michigan in May, on the 15th of May of this year, and I took the cartridges out of the refrigerator for my Canon MX922 printer, 4 cartridges, took them out of the Ziploc bag. I put them in my printer. I turned it on. It works fine. Fails safe. The only time I turned it off since then is when I knew I was going to lose power or when there was an electrical storm. You waste a lot of ink if you turn your printer on, print with it, and then turn it off. Reader's view. Look at the top right-hand side up at where the round red circle is. That's a reader's view icon. I'm at the How to Geek website. Not all websites offer reader's view. A lot of them do. And if you want to use reader's view, you can use it. It's cool. So now I'm going to click on the reader's view icon and I'm going to see the same page. And this is all I see. The reader's view controls and the article. Notice the reader's view icon at the top of the page is now blue. I can click on that again and it'll go back to this page right here. Excuse me. Reader's view. Reader's view is available on all smartphones, tablets, and PCs. But sometimes you have to go into your browser and go into your search engine and say, how do I turn on reader's view? Restart versus shut down. If you're going to turn your PC off, it's going to be off for some time, then I highly recommend you click on the start button. That's the 1. You click on the power button. That's a 2. And you click on restart. That's a 3. And let your PC restart and then go back through the process again. 1, power, 2, and then shut down. Why? Because you cleaned up your PC before you shut it down. Now, normally what I do is I put my PC to sleep. So when I get through this presentation tonight, I'm going to put it in sleep. When I get up in the morning, I'll bring it out of sleep. And sleep goes into the RAM. And there's a little electricity that keeps the RAM energized. Sometimes when you click on the power button, you get restart at the bottom, shut down in the middle, and hibernate at the top. Why did Windows 10 do this? Fast startup. If you see a pop-up on your screen while you're on your PC and it's one of those things that says yada, 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 and you know it's a scam, restart your machine instead of shutting it down. You may get rid of it right then and there. If you're on your tablet and or your PC and you would like to send a text message, you do not have to go find your phone or your tablet. You can send a text message through the email program. I'm with T-Mobile, so I would put in your 10-digit number, Francis, and then I would put at tmomail.net, and then I would type out what I wanted, and hit send, and it will go to you like a text message. Now, I have been running my mouth for about an hour. And so I am getting ready to answer any or all questions and stop running my mouth.
Microsoft just released a free PC health check. They're trying to imply that your PC, if it can't run Windows 11, it isn't healthy. Okay, that's part of their marketing ploy to push Windows 11. Anyhow, they've been through several versions of this PC health check, and they finally got one that works. For a while, people had to go to third-party health checks written by open source software developers to do a good check to see if their computer could run Windows 11. So they just released it. So if you click there, you can check for any computer you own whether or not it can run Windows 11. Okay. This computer you're looking at right now is a Windows 11 computer running on my gamer's machine. And you'll notice I'm not going to go into it this time around. I promised it for next month, right?
Yes.
So I'm not going to show you any details about it. You can read about it online if you go to my stuff, or you can go to YouTube, or you can go to Microsoft's website and hear all the fertilizer they're pushing out about Windows 11. Okay, so there's lots of information about it, right? Even their
Right.
so there's no need for me to reinvent the wheel, right? And so,
Does it look a lot different than Windows 10?
well, you're looking at it. Does it look different? This is the start menu. What's wrong with the start menu? The start menu now, the start button is now closer to the center of the computer. You can move it back to the left if you right click on it. See? But they decided to put it closer into the center of things. A whole bunch of their customers asked for that. Okay. Now the other thing is, if you click on the start menu, you'll notice that the start button, the start menu is gone, right? To get the original start menu, you now have to click on all apps. Now, I can live with that, okay? And so what else can I tell you? If you click on the start button, you get this new start menu, and it has pinned and recommended. That means you're supposed to build your own start menu. A lot of people like that. You can move things to pinned, and you can remove things from pinned. Recommended is the stuff you've been working on recently, including all the files. Some people like that. Some people hate it. You can adjust all that inside settings. Okay. And there's a lot of other interesting things about it. You no longer can move the taskbar to the left, the top, or the right. They decided to put it at the bottom forever. Okay. You don't like that, stick with Windows 10 and then go to Linux. Okay. A lot of people are threatening to do that. Now, I'm not going to go through a lot of details, but if you go to our website, in there, if I can find the darn thing, is right here, right at the top of here is a link to Microsoft's test for whether or not your darn computer can run Windows 11. They just re-released it after screwing it up 2 months ago. Okay, I've got a real computer running Windows 11. I've got a virtual machine running Windows 10. That's this boy. Okay, I've got another virtual machine at the same time running. I've got another virtual machine running Ubuntu Linux. Okay. What I've done is I've got 3 virtual machines running, right? Ubuntu. I've got a real computer running Windows 11. And I've got a real computer running, a virtual machine running Windows 10. I have, between the 2 Windows virtual machines, I have printers shared, okay? Between all 3 virtual machines, I have files and folders shared, and it works just fine. In this Linux machine right now, I'm looking at accessing a bunch of files and folders on my Windows 11 virtual machine. See how that works? And vice versa. So everybody can talk to everybody else.
Does computer networking work on Windows 11?
Works beautifully. In fact,
Because on 10, we couldn't get 4 computers to talk to each other reliably,
if they
even
could,
though it's sort of hit or miss.
okay, to make it talk reliably, you will have to use something called the command line. It's in the case of Windows 11, you just right click on the start button, or Windows 10, and you say Windows Terminal administrative version, and then you can make it work. That's the only place where you can, I guarantee you can make it work. If the text shows up at your house and they're not in this screen trying to make it work, they will not get it to work. Okay. And then
That
once
was
you,
a correct prediction. Yes, you were right.
if you type ipconfig and ifconfig in Linux, you'll get something called a bunch of IP addresses. See those IP addresses in there where it says IP4 address? Those addresses are the key to forcing Windows to work with share files and printers. Okay, you've got to go back into the File Explorer. Then the only place where you can make the connection is in a folder called Network. If you didn't know that, he wasn't going to succeed. That's the only place where Microsoft allows that. Then to make it work, you don't expect your computer to find anything else that's on your network that's already shared. And sharing is another thing that I have written a presentation on. In order to make it work in the Microsoft world, in the Linux world, it's two slashes in the regular direction, and the Microsoft is 2 slashes in the opposite direction. If you don't know that, you can't make it work. Then you have to use that IP address that you found earlier, like 192.168.135.140. That's what you found earlier. And then you have to know, in most cases, the shared name of the shared folder, shared from something. Say shared from Linux, or whatever you want to call it, Ubuntu. You have to name the folder, or else you see, all this is put in to block worms, so they can't worm their way through your computer. So you have to know the commands, and then you click on enter, and it goes through. In my case, I'm not going to a real folder, so it's not going to go through. Once you get it going, it'll show up here under computer, but inside the network folder. It doesn't show up anywhere else. So you have to know that. So once you get it going, if you double click on the name of any of these, you can actually then share from there. But you have to be inside the network folder to make it work.